Corky, your things off?
Yeah, thanks David. Hi Johnny, it's good to see you again. Can I ask you just about the performance against Wales last weekend, and as a starting off point, how impressed you were with that and how much more is left in the locker?
Yeah, look, we reviewed the game and we did some really good things. We had lots of work-ons, of course, which is a good place to be after a win, and that's we feel that there's a bit more in us, but we're happy with some of the things that we did on the day because, we've obviously explained already the conditions were pretty tough in terms of, greasy ball and a very strong wind. So, to do some of the things that we did in those conditions was really pleasing, but we know we need to go up a level in our performance this week.
So it's France at the weekend. Now, in the past when you were playing in France, it was kind of common for French people during the course of the week in the build-up to the match to say they want to target you, and that became a bit boring, to be fair about it, in terms of what they were saying. This week the attack dogs have been out saying that Ireland are a better team without you. I mean, is that kind of stuff, is that water off the back at this stage, or how do you deal with that kind of thing and stick it out of your mind, basically, or do you put it out of your mind?
Yeah, it's I suppose I'm well used to it at this week of the season. France, whether it's home or away, there's always something, from one direction or another, whether it's in the camp or outside their camp. But I think the one you're referring to is obviously outside their camp. But look, you can't control what people say. You have to try and do your talking on the pitch, and it's nothing new for me in this fixture to have some things thrown at me that you wouldn't expect.
And just a word about the Stade de France as a place, as a venue. It must be one of the great places in the world to play rugby. Yeah,
an incredible stadium with an incredible atmosphere. When we obviously don't want an incredible atmosphere because it means normally that they're going well. We want more silence this week, but they're a very, very good team, obviously, that we're coming up against. But in terms of the stadium, one of the best in the world and one of the most enjoyable ones to play in.
Good man. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Hi Johnny, Ashton here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. How are you feeling after the game? You took some tough hits?
Yeah, I'm all good, thankfully. Obviously the hits are part of the game, and you got to roll with them, and thankfully bounced back good, recovered for the last 2 days, and then trained fully today with the group, and so it's all systems going now for this weekend.
And what have you been working on in training to improve on, say, from the Wales game? Is there any emphasis on any area?
No, it's across the board really, because like I said to Michael, it's there was lots of good stuff in, like, just say one area of the game, just say our defence, but then there was like a couple of moments where we didn't quite win, and we're always trying to win as many moments as we can, and when you don't, you need to learn from them, and that's what we've always done. When you win, the best teams, when they win, they learn still, and they take the lessons from victory, and we definitely do that. I think we did that in November really well, with off the back of the Japan game and New Zealand game, and I hope that we'll learn a lot having beaten Wales, and we learned some hard lessons last year in the first two games. The key thing about that was that we two losses, and everything to play for was gone, whereas now we've got to win, and it's a lot nicer place to be when you're learning.
And just the last one from me, looking ahead to the France game, everyone is saying at the minute that it's the top two teams in the Six Nations coming up against each other. It is only the second game in, but is that the way that you and the team would see it?
It's not. Again, we wouldn't be talking like that in house. For us, it's just a massive fixture. France away. How many times have we won there over the last 20, 30 years? Not too many. It takes a special team to go and win there, and it'll take a great performance, and that's all we're focused on. We're not talking about who we're playing. We're obviously giving them the respect that they absolutely deserve, and we're analysing them, and we're looking at their key individuals, etc. But we haven't talked about who the best team is or who the second best. We're just, let's get our performance right and see where that leaves us.
That's great, Johnny. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, Johnny. It's Bernard here from Virgin Media. How are things?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Johnny, what does, go back to the elements you spoke there about, what does a win in France look like in terms of, you mentioned there the Stade de France being, one of the greatest venues in the world, massive crowd there, home crowd on Saturday, the improvement you need from last weekend. What does a win this weekend look like in your head?
Well, I can't predict the future. I wish I could, but I presume it'll involve us playing really well. I can't see us going there and playing poorly and winning. So again, that's where all our focus is. It's on our performance, and if we can get that right, give us a chance to be in with a shout of winning the game, and that's where all our emphasis has been on. It has been on our performance ever since these. It's professional sport. I think every team concentrates on their performance, and the results look after themselves generally.
So it is one of those fixtures that produces moments that can define a tournament. You think back to 2018. Is there a sense around the place as the week goes on that this feels like a box office fixture?
Yeah, of course. We're playing against one of the informed teams in the world. We're obviously in good form as well. So yeah, it's been, of course, hyped up, and we know that if we can win in Stade de France, it puts you in a good position to win a championship. We've won there a few times over the years. In 2014, we lifted a trophy there. 2018, we started off the Grand Slam year in that game. So if you win there, it gives you a great chance, obviously, of competing for the championship, and we're not hiding away from that. It's a big game.
Great stuff. Thanks, Johnny.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Johnny. How are you doing? Of the 9-game winning run you're on at the moment, 7 of those games have come at home. How important is it as a next step for this group to get a big win on the road?
Yeah, it's important. It's important. Obviously, we're going to the Stade de France in 18 months' time. We're going to have 2 group games in a World Cup. We need to obviously. Be good to have good memories of this place, but away from home, you just need to realise what you're up against. You're up against it'll be a hostile crowd. It'll be, the 50-50 decisions tend to go against you, etc. So it's, that's what you come up against. But in terms of, once the game starts, it's still the same size pitch and same ball, and you just got to. Like I said, we're just focusing on our performance. We haven't spoken too much yet about the fact that it's away, but we're hoping that there's a big away performance in us, of course, yeah.
And with the way you're playing at the moment, particularly with the way you've got forwards coming onto the ball as first receivers so often, for yourself, does that kind of buy you an extra half a second, an extra half yard of space where you have someone like Tyke Byrne or Tyke Furlong or Andrew Porter bringing the ball up close to the line and occupying a little bit more space?
Yeah, sometimes it's me passing it to them and then giving it to my centre, at the back. But yeah, look, we've been doing some really good things in our attack. Lots of stuff that if we'd done slightly better against Wales, we might have had a couple more scores. And that's where we're just striving always to get better, like we have done for the last 2 years, and we're starting to see some results to go with the performances, and instead of being sort of patchy kind of performances where you do some really good things and then you really more consistent, I think is where we're striving for, and where we've sort of managed to get to over the last 7, 8, 9 games, and that's what we need to keep striving for. Better performances, more consistent results, and look, we're happy with our progress, and we need to continue on an upward curve now.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Johnny? Hi, Johnny. Can you hear me?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
That's just why you can't see me, but I just wondering your time in France. What do you think you came back? What do you think you learned in your club rugby in France that you brought back to your game for the national side?
I actually remember talking to Matt O'Connor at the time when I was coming back to Leinster, and we spoke about time in France, and he was telling me that he thinks that it'll have made me a better player because, you know, you've had to learn how to try and win in a different way. You know, I was so used to the Leinster way, to the Joe Schmidt way with Ireland and Leinster over the years, and then to get exposed to, you know, a setup in Racine that was very different. You did learn a lot about yourself and how a team runs and how it operates, and so I think I definitely better for the experience, and I definitely learned a lot when I was over there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gavin, I think you're trying to get in there. We'll finish up with you.
Yeah, cheers, Johnny. In a world of analysis, how tough is it to prepare for what's coming from the French backline, who seem to play kind of so much off the cuff and so much flair?
Yeah, it's you know, it's the mix of knowing their, you know, their system or their favoured moves, I suppose, but also knowing the individual as well as you can, because you know, you talk about the Duponts or Entamacs, you know, or Ficus, they can produce something out of nothing, but they've got some things that we need to know about them, you know, whether it's what foot they step off, etc. So it's, yeah, you need to know the individual as much as, you know, with some teams you look at them and you see the system they're playing, very rigid in the system, but these guys can just produce something out of nothing. So knowing them as individuals will be very important.
Okay, thanks folks. We're going to switch over to the embargo